Hey guys, just finished watching Marvel's Cloak and Dagger Season 1, Episode 5, Princeton Offense. This episode was pretty interesting. There's a lot that went on. I was hoping that the Cloak would start learning to use his powers just since Tandy learned to use them in last week's episode, and now in this episode she's full on using it at will and fully able to control her powers, and that was really cool seeing that. But yet here he's still just accidentally using his powers, accidentally teleporting. So it's good. It looks like in the trailers though for next week, it looks like he will be learning to control his powers, which is interesting. It's gonna be excited to see that. But we're on episode 6. Next week is episode 6 of 10, so like it's less than halfway, and we only have like 4 more episodes, and 5 more episodes, and that's really all we're going to get halfway with him kind of controlling it. So we'll see how things go, and maybe by the end of the episode I feel like that's when he'll have control of it by the end of the next episode, and then we'll only have like 4 episodes with him completely in control of it. So we'll see where things are going to go with it, but we'll jump into this episode to continue on here. So we find out that we start off with Roxanne Golf, who gives an arm to a soldier, Loudon Swift, and I googled Loudon Swift to see if he was a character from the comics or anything. Nothing really too much came out with him. He did have another character who was actually, what was his name here? Loudon Smith. Nothing too much really comes up with him. Just some random superhero that was like one of the guys that was a background character, I guess. Blue Steel or something. Who actually was a character. So nothing really too much. Nothing really that tracks to the connection that they have here on Roxanne's on this Cloak and Dagger show. So we start off. We see Tandy going through her father's file that Greg had when she saw Greg get shot and stuff. Tyrone tries to help O'Reilly get Connors, but she doesn't want him getting involved. Tandy shows Tyrone that she can control her powers. She shows up actually at his school and shows him that she can control it. And that's when Tyrone, they're all waiting there, and the cheerleaders go by, and Nobita calls Tyrone his friend. He doesn't really like that, so he's disappointed with that. Tandy ends up breaking into a locker to steal some school uniforms, and she also steals an iPad and stuff, so she can use that later. And there's a Agent M reference. We see O'Reilly looking into Billy's death, reading some stuff, and they talk about Agent M and stuff, which is probably just code for to keep the agent's name under wraps and stuff. But interesting idea that they went with Agent M as a reference to. I'm not sure if it's a reference or they meant it, or if it's just coincidence to Marvel's Agent M, who runs their internet social media side at Marvel. You see him on like all the live panels for the Comic-Cons, live events, and he'll be all over there. You just Google Agent M, you should see him there. So if you're following any Marvel stuff, you recognize who he is. I think it's just a coincidence. I mean, but who knows? So it could be pretty cool. Just thought I'd mention that one. O'Reilly is looking into Billy's death. We see that. Tyrone ends up teleporting again while thinking about his brother's friend, Potter, and that's where he ends up just teleporting to him, I guess, because Potter was thinking about him and stuff. So that was really cool seeing that. And they end up talking and stuff. Tandy ends up joining. I guess it looks like Tandy went to an escort service because she's going through the files. She sees that one of these guys that she's looking for, and she sees that he has a bunch of girls with him and stuff. But it's unclear as to. I guess that was the idea. She was going to an escort service because they were looking at her Instagram account or something, or followers. I don't know how she faked an account to look like that. Maybe she could Photoshop it or steal an account or whatever, but kind of a bit convenient to see how she do that, because it's kind of difficult to get 17,000 followers in a couple of hours type of thing. So I don't know, it just would have been cool to see how she got that, and really what more as to what it specifically was that agency she went to. And she was in that waiting room when she was being questioned, because she went there as I guess some sort of escort service type thing, but like she wasn't hired by anyone. She just used that to get into the Roxanne party, which kind of didn't make sense as to what was that connection, what was the need to that escort service connection. I thought that was, maybe the escort service that the guy she was looking at on the Instagram thing, the service that he uses, and she was trying to get, with him, and he would want like the newest girl, right? So he would want to pick her to be his date for this expensive, this high profile Roxanne party type thing, and I think that would have made more sense, but it really didn't work out that way. She just used it to just get there. Did the Roxanne pay by these escorts just to have them walking around the party for something? Like, I don't know, it was just kind of unclear as to what that service was there for and where she even went there and all that stuff. Tyrone ends up giving Evita his jacket. She never really explains as to why she kind of just called them friends before, and they didn't really understand as to where things kind of went with that. So I guess he just gives her jacket, and she's like, yes, just, I know you. And really, Riley ends up talking to Liam, Tandy's ex, to try and get some information from him. Tyrone's playing basketball, and he's holding the ball, and it disappears, and it kind of drops near Tandy and stuff. So that was a cool idea with that, him losing different items and things like that inside of him. Then Tyrone ends up teleports to Tandy during halftime, and he needs to get back to the game. That's when she pushes him over the balcony, and he falls into the water. And at first I thought, oh, he survived, he's fallen into the water. No, he fell into the water and teleports back. I think that's a cool idea. It's him kind of first kind of way of doing it on purpose-ish. I mean, he did teleport that one time when Connors almost shot him, but that was really just kind of not on purpose. So this one was kind of a bit closer to him kind of learning to use it on his own. So that would be cool to see him kind of test that out in next episode. Maybe he goes up to a building, something jumps off, and then tries to land back on there. Maybe what I would do if I was him, I'd go to a wharf or something, a huge wharf with where it's you'd easily be able to survive it. Something you could easily jump in, you land in the water, big deal. But then you try and teleport back up to the water type thing before you hit the water. I think that could be an interesting idea to see him try that and to see how far he can do it. I think it's going to be cool to see how he ends up learning to do this. It's really going to be cool to see that. And then Tyrone misses the last shot after he touches a bunch of the players and the coach and stuff. And later on, Evita even suggests that she knew what he was doing. So it's kind of unclear, like, does she really know what he was doing? Does she have an idea of what's going on that he's able to see this stuff? Does she think it's a side effect from the voodoo bath that he had before? What does she mean by she knows exactly what's going on, that he's dealing with all that? I think there's other, maybe looking too much into it, that she didn't really mean that. She just thinks that she really, understands what he's going through, but it's just kind of weird as to, what does she mean exactly by that, and is there anything behind that? Is there a reason that she's thinking, and does she think it's, left over from the voodoo stuff, and now he has, voodoo visions or something like that? It's just going to be cool to see where that goes, if that's going to anything, or if it's just her kind of, being okay with him, ditching her, not waiting for her at the end of the game and all that stuff. So I think it's going to be cool to see where things go with that. And it looks like he kind of missed the last shot on purpose, probably to give all those guys the benefit of the doubt and type thing, since he saw the darkness inside of them all. Then Tandy ends up going to see Pete Scarborough, who's the guy she's been looking for. She's looking through all the violence and all that stuff, so that was really cool. She sees him, pretends to have her car break down. She touches him, and she sees him kind of floating around, walking waist in water, kind of picking up traps full of money and picking up bodies full with money in their pockets. And then one guy's alive, and he kind of drowns her. So that's really going to be cool to see him being the connection there. So hopefully, it's going to be cool to see if they can maybe bring this all along and bring. Because having Roxanne as a main villain is a pretty cool idea, but it's also, there's no connection to Tyrone just yet. And right now, Tyrone, his enemy, his villain is Connors. So it would be cool to see Connors maybe employed somehow, working to cover things up for Roxanne, and that could be something where things are going to go. And I feel like that's where they're going to go by the end of the episode, maybe the end of the season, maybe somewhere around episode 8 or 9, we'll probably get a reveal that Roxanne, Connors helped cover stuff up for Roxanne, and that's why, and that's part of the explosion and stuff. So maybe that'll be the full connection as to where, how to make Roxanne and Connors kind of one villain, so that they want to team up together to go after Roxanne and Connors together at the same time. And I think hopefully they can do that a bit sooner. I'd like to see that maybe next week's episode, or maybe episode 7, so that we have a few episodes of them realizing that they're both after the same people at the end of the day, Connors and Peters. type thing, and Peter Scarborough. So it's going to be cool to see how they can bring that together, because right now their storylines are kind of separately. They just happen to be bumping into each other every now and then because of their powers. But if they were both of their focus, both of their objectives were the same thing, it would be cool to see them wanting to spend more time together and trying to hang out more and teaming up to investigating together. And then we see that Evita is waiting for Tyrone in his room when he's home and stuff, and that's then when she said that she understood what happened to him and all that stuff. So that'd be cool to see. Like I said, if there's anything behind that. She ended up actually spending the night, and we see O'Connor's ends up catching O'Reilly doing cocaine in evidence locker type thing, and she was clearly setting him up to kind of building him to trust her type thing. So that's really going to be cool to see where that goes, that relationship goes with with him, and how she's going to kind of break him down and see where she's going to find stuff. And it's really cool that they set stuff up here. How I missed the connection in Luke Cage, but I saw it afterwards when someone posted online that they mentioned O'Reilly in Luke Cage season 2, and she mentions here that she's from Harlem and stuff. So it's really cool seeing that connection to the show, and having these connections here could be quite interesting to seeing that. And maybe later on, maybe at one point we get things. It would be cool to also to go as far as if she used to be working in Harlem. It would have been cool to, on the set of Cloak and Dagger, have the actress, when she's not doing stuff, have her get into just regular beat cop clothes, so she could take photos and have those photos in the Harlem precinct, in the backgrounds, in the foregrounds, or whatever, of photos in Luke Cage. I think that would have been really cool to set that up, so that she could, there's that whole connection, really connecting these two shows together, even though they're not both on Netflix. They're kind of totally separate, and the only people really both involved, I think, is Jeff Loeb. So it's really kind of it's really interesting to see that, and I like these little connections there that kind of connect the two shows together. So it would be cool to see different things like that, and that's one thing that I would have done if they had any photos. I'm not sure if they had any flashback photos, or they'd done any photos with O'Reilly to kind of when she was a beat cop and she was first got her detective things or whatever. That would be cool things to see, and to see different cases and different information as she worked on in Luke Cage in Harlem before Luke Cage got on or whatever. I think it would be cool to see that idea and see kind of references to that. So I think it was a really cool reference seeing that here, referencing Luke Cage, and or at least just referencing Harlem, that she worked there, and vice versa. So it was really cool seeing that, acknowledging each other, that they exist, rather than just kind of ignoring each other completely. So then Tyrone ends up teleporting and sees O'Connor talk to Pete, his brother's old friend, who he thought he was doing well and doing doing proper business, had a construction business, but now we find out he's involved with kind of with drugs and stuff, and O'Connor's, and so that's where we end up with that. We don't see how Tyrone ends up leaving that place, because the thing is, he ends up teleporting, and a few times he does it, and it's okay, but in this time he teleports right out of his bed, so he's just wearing his boxers or anything. He's not wearing any clothes or anything, so I think it would be much more, I want to see, how did he get back, exactly, how do you get back all the time? How did he sneak back into his own house, He probably doesn't have money to pay for a cab or anything, so how does he get back and get all the way back, climb back into his room without teleporting, or does he kind of force himself to teleport? I mean, he knows he can do it now, so at this point, when he's stuck with just this blanket and no clothes, no money, no nothing to get a cab ride home or anything, I would have done is try and jump off of something again and see himself learning to control his powers, at least attempting to do that. I think that would have been a cool way to end the episode. Maybe he tries it again and he kind of he makes it work type thing. I think that could have been cool. Or maybe he arrives just kind of a bit far from his house type thing. So, because it seems like there's so much that could go wrong with him having teleported, and we don't know how far he teleported to. So it could take him a while to get back, and or maybe one time he teleports and the time that it takes him to get back, he teleports like a whole city to a different city or something, and then he has to take a long car ride back. So it would have been cool to see how they fixed that. So it would be cool to see that resolve that solution. Now, I understand it's going to be a lot of footage explaining, a lot of time taken up from the episode doing that, but it's just something I would like to see answered as to, especially because he didn't just teleport, he clearly didn't have any mean. And if he got caught, he's just walking around with no clothes. That would be suspicious. And if he got caught climbing into his room, how would he explain that to his parents and all that stuff? I think that would be really cool to see, and it would be an interesting idea to kind of at least explain is how he did all that. How does he get back to his room like that, or does he go up to the roof and try and jump off again and appear back in his bed? I think that would have been a cool idea for him to try it again, And the only way for now is he's trying to learn his powers. Is the only way to activate them is jumping off of things. And so for now, it's kind of dangerous because he does it a few times and it kind of, ends up hurting himself and type of thing. That could be a cool thing to see him, learn to use his powers, but kind of not quite sure as to how to judge it type thing. He jumps off and he lands on his bed and really way too hard and kind of injures himself. I think that could be a cool idea to seeing that. So that's just something I would have liked to have seen explained because it left so many unanswered questions as to how he's going to get home without getting caught. Then we see Tandy looking through some files and she finds the name Ivan Hetz, and we find out that Mina Hetz, his father, died working for Roxxon, and now she's worked for them too, which I didn't really understand that ending and how, she even looks, from the fake camera to the real camera and looks on and says, "My name is Nina Hex, my father died for Roxxon, and I work for Roxxon." I really didn't get the connection there, but I realized it's the girl that she bumped into, or she was, it looked like she was drunk and stuff, but she was just stage fright to go up at the party that Tandy was at. But the idea that, because her father died, looking into it, so I couldn't really see the big reveal. They made it, the way they shot the scene, it's like, oh my god, there's a big reveal. I didn't really get it until I realized, yes, it's her father who died and stuff, but I guess maybe she might be secretly trying to research her father. She works there and she's trying to research her father, or she's just kind of, she really believes that Roxxon is good and thinks it was just an accident and it was all covered up. It's not really in there. So I think it's going to be cool to see where things go with her storyline. But I feel like because they ended with that was the last thing we got in the episode, I feel like it's probably more towards the idea that, yeah, she's working for Roxxon, but she's kind of like a double agent trying to, get her own. She's working for Roxxon so she can build up a case to take down Roxxon. So I think that's really going to be an interesting idea if they play with that, and to see Tandy and her kind of teaming up, because that's going to looks like a more suitable relationship, is to see that, and maybe maybe they get involved. Maybe Tandy and her start talking about trying to take on Roxxon, and maybe Roxxon hires Peter Scarberton can maybe has Connors shoot and kill Mina, and that's when Peter. That's when Tyrone and Tandy need to team up because they're both going after the two together. So if they can get Connors, and Roxxon, take them down all together in one shot, I think that could be an interesting idea to see that. But I was really kind of confused with the whole ending of this as to what the big reveal was to there, but that's what I think it is for now. So we'll see where things are going to go for this. Definitely can't wait to see where things are going with this. I like this show. Saw an article on CNN reviewing this show saying they didn't like it, but I really like this show so far. Not as good as Daredevil, nothing good there. Better than this season of Luke Cage so far. Better than season 2 of Luke Cage. Better than Iron Fist. No, not better than Jessica Jones season 2, but not better than season 1. So we'll see where things go. That's definitely better than Inhumans and everything, but this really is an interesting show. Can't wait to see where things are going, and I'm glad that it premieres at this time when there's not so many other TV shows on, so we're really able to find a focus on this one show at a time, and I really like doing that. I'd rather have more shows spread out throughout the year and constantly than have all the shows start in September and it's like you're watching 40 shows at once, and you can't really breathe them all in. You're trying to just hurry up and watch all the shows, whereas here now with this one you're really able to take it in, so it's really cool with that. So yeah, let me know what you think about this episode, season 1, episode 5's Princeton offense, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.